Oh, snap. You know what? That mellow sound, the waves crashing, moving us in, that you're apparently hula dancing to,
Yes.
belies how crazy last night was.
Yeah, it does.
This episode actually wasn't supposed to come out for like another month, but good Lord.
Yeah, it became a thing. It
Yeah.
became topical.
We recorded this actually yesterday morning. It was Saturday morning for out to work.
Mhm.
And as I'm coming home from work Saturday night, so many of the topics that we covered in this very interview just happened to pop up.
Yeah.
So, welcome to Sounds Like Liberty, episode number 76 for the Launchpad Media, where we are, in fact, always launching ideas in your direction.
Mhm.
I am Nikki P. here, as always, with my lovely wife and co-host, Lizzie.
Greetings.
How are you doing, Liz?
I'm all right.
How do you feel about last night's craziness?
It is unfortunate and unpleasant, and I'm just praying it works out in some sort of way that's not awful for everyone.
How does it make you feel as a parent with a child in the Liberty movement?
Yeah, it's all bad. Honestly.
There are no good feelings to be had about
Yeah.
that.
Pretty much.
I agree with you.
Just kind of hoping against hope here.
Yeah. Anyways, so as always, folks, go and check out some friends of ours. Who do you want to pimp this week, Liz? Who's good?
I mean, everybody's good. We could talk about
You know what? I had a guy email me or message me, and I have not even listened to his podcast. But let's pitch it to him. Millennials Meet Liberty.
Millennials Meet Liberty. If nothing else, it's got to be interesting.
Yeah. I've never listened to the guy's podcast, and, it may be terrible. I'm hopefully probably going to be talking about it on the episode of This Week in Liberpods I do tonight.
Nice. Dig it.
Yeah. While you're not doing that, stop on over to soundslike.liberty.com
Yeah.
and check out our website.
Yes.
We got the fantastic show notes. You can join the Freedom Choir and get all of the fun stuff that we do over there, like Married to Liberty, where I just ask Liz questions. It's a very Liz-focused show.
It is.
We have Year-Round Tree, where we just talk about Christmas movies, because
It's a good time.
we're obsessed with Christmas.
We dig it.
We're actually officially crossing over the threshold into that season, and I'm excited.
Yeah, we're gonna have some new episodes coming up of the Year-Round Tree, and you can binge all of last year. So plenty
Binge
of
all of last
Christmas
year.
cheer for you to dig into there.
So, but let's not dwell today, because I want people to hear what we were talking about, like the morning that whole thing broke out.
Yeah, we gotta.
So listen to this song, and after that, we're going to be talking to Jared, Mr. Fighting Mongoose himself, from Biting the Bullet Pod. I'm so excited we finally got one of those boys on, by the way.
Very cool.
I fanboyed out a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
I didn't give him my address, though.
Yeah, we stopped just short of that, thankfully.
Okay. So, without further ado, let's get this thing rolling.
Honey, can't you see that I'm a mover? Well, I got my car and my hollow body guitar. Well, I got my car and my hollow body guitar. What can I say, guitar? I'm gonna rock that joint, gonna be last. Oh, rock and roll and play the fast. Got two-tone shoes and hover.
Well, welcome, Jared, to the Sounds Like Liberty podcast. How are we doing today?
Oh, fantastic.
You doing soldiering things?
No, today's gonna be a lazy day. I'm gonna fix my fucking shed door, and that's about the only plans I have today. One of my plans.
Nice.
Wish that was all the plans I had. My plans involve going to work for 10 hours
Ugh.
before I record another podcast.
I'm gonna put up some curtains.
The girlfriend has to work today, so I don't.
Good for her. This is going to be one of my last full weeks of work coming up here.
It's working for the man, at least.
And then I'm dropping part-time at my day job so I can, I don't know, become a professional podcaster, I guess.
Become a professional something.
Professional podcast
That's a great-
editor is what I was hoping for.
Live the dream.
Yeah, right.
No, just not have a boss. I don't even care about the dream so much as not having somebody to tell me what the fuck to do. That would be
Yeah.
great. And I gotta be able to not have to ask for time off for Childeberg. So
Yeah.
There's that.
that's an important thing. So, anyways, why don't you tell our fans and listeners a little bit about who you are?
My name's Jared. I guess my whole shtick in the whole Twitter universe and podcast universe is I was a Marine Corps veteran. I joined when I was 18, deployed to Afghanistan in 2014. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I started to discover libertarianism, either through friends and then a little bit of the media. And kind of dove into that. A lot of it made sense. And now that kind of put me where I am today. I run a podcast with two of my other Marine Corps friends called Biting the Bullet. It's the best way I could describe it is kind of like a shit show, but it's a comedy politic podcast. We wanted to make something because I don't know. We saw a lot of our friends that were finding libertarianism, like a lot of veterans that were libertarians, but there was no real podcast that kind of came out with that. Like, yeah, guys like Jason Stapleton and Johnny Rocket, but that wasn't more or less their shtick. They weren't really focusing on that more or less.
Well, there's also a difference between like a bunch of middle-aged dudes that did it back in the day, and I mean, you guys are all in your 20s.
Yeah, we are. We're still
pretty
young.
fresh out.
Yeah. Well, I've only been out since the end of 2015. So yeah. And then Luke and Typo, the other hosts of the podcast, they got out about a year after me. But no, we wanted to make something that wasn't super serious. Like, we have serious topics that we talk about sometimes, but we wanted to create something that another veteran felt like he just walked into the smoke pit outside drunk at 2:00 in the morning. A bunch of his buddies were out there talking. We wanted to create that feeling for them through our podcast. And I feel like we've been semi-successful with that. That's what a lot of guys have told us. Yeah, we basically just took the conversations that we kept having in our backyard, pissed drunk at 3:00 in the morning, and just put a microphone in front of us and recorded it instead.
Well, which is funny to me because it's like, I am definitely not your target audience.
Mm-hmm.
Other than briefly showing up to sign up for the Air Force at one point.
Mm.
And then they gave me the address of a doctor who prescribed me pills to get my BMI down. And I'm like, look, I just spent the past 4 years lifting weights to get swole. I'm not going to start taking pills to join the Air Force. And then they said I was never allowed to get more tattoos. And I'm like, it's probably not the place for me to be.
Yeah. The Air Force was one of the first ones that came in hard on the tattoo policy.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't even think the Army can say anything about tattoos anymore. Don't they just take them like anyone at this point?
No. Actually, no. A lot of the branches, even the Marine Corps itself, is it's actually been a thing. It's actually pissed off a lot of active duty Marines and shit. Because the Marine Corps is trying to create this, you're a professional soldier, and it's then every Marine's looking. It's no, we're not. We're fucking degenerates. Like you think about the Marine Corps, you don't think about this fucking suit and tie fucking professional. You think about this degenerate fucking 19-year-old with a lip dip in his mouth, dip in his mouth, covered in tattoos. That's the guy I want next to me in combat, not this little fucking office pushing bitch. I want a hard ass next to me. But yeah, no, a lot of guys have been getting in trouble for tattoos in the Marine Corps and the military because that's what they focus on. That's the issues of our day. The military.
Right.
Fucking tattoo policy and when I can wear my beanie.
That's crazy to me, especially when they have such difficulty getting people in the service at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now they're moving to 16-year-olds to try and get more people enlisted, and they're worried about tattoos.
No, it's a serious problem. Even mainstream vets are talking about it a lot. They can't keep anybody, and it's something that I noticed when I was in is all the fucking really good Marines, the guys that were really good at their job. They're very proficient. They're professional. They were almost the guy that you guys would want. As long as there is a military, the kind of person that you would want in that role, somebody that's not this fucking psychopath, but is very capable and very efficient. All those people leave.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing as teaching. All the people good enough to do the job are smart enough not to do the job. Exactly.
Yeah. And a lot of guys, a lot of those smart guys that are proficient at their job, they get in 4 years later. If they don't get some of them get hooked in. I've talked about it on our podcast before. You get some of them get hooked in because they'll get like orders to go to MARSOC or some kind of special forces unit. So then they're like, okay, I'll stay. But that's only a certain percentage. The majority of fucking guys, they're gone. And the only people you have kept in leadership are people that are literally too incompetent to go get a fucking real job in the civilian world.
Well, I mean, that's everyone will be advanced until the point that they're not capable of doing their job. And the problem is that that's everyone in the service is incapable of doing the job they make
Dude,
it
it was
to.
either, I think it was Pat. I think Pat said it best from Uncensored Tactical, where he said, they will raise you to your highest level of mediocrity. It will, like, they will keep literally raising you in rank and responsibility until you're so goddamn inefficient they can't even come up with an excuse, and then they keep you there.
Yeah. And those are the people we give guns and tell to go shoot people.
Fucking A. Well, yeah. I mean, that's another
to discern,
thing.
Complex geopolitical situations.
No, yeah, dude. It's something that we talk about on our show all the time, where it's, you have all these people here have all these fucking grandiose ideas, like we're going to give women's rights in Afghanistan, we're going to change the culture, and we're going to win hearts and minds. It's like, you realize the people that you're telling to do this are fucking 19-year-olds with automatic grenade launchers. Like, these aren't people that are, cultured fucking.
Or, at best case scenario, they're the Afghani equivalent of all of those retards down in Mississippi that show up to go to that dipshit's ark. Like, they're all religious fundamentalists that live in the Stone Age. So I feel advancing them to our cultural positions, at the very least, is going to take a long fucking time.
And you ain't going to do it through fucking 18-year-olds shooting automatic weapons.
Exactly.
Like, it's just, it's absolutely asinine. The government's, it's taken the military from what it's supposed to be. And this is just kind of one of the things that kind of pushed me out of it was I saw the military, and the military is good at what it's supposed to do. Like, we're a fucking amazing sledgehammer, but they're trying to use it like a scalpel. Mm. And that just doesn't work out that well. And it was one of those things that kind of started like the views that I have on the military. It's like, you're not taken care of. You're not special. The government doesn't give a fuck about you. So then when I realized, like, while I'm in the military, they don't give a fuck about me, how the hell am I supposed to expect them to give a shit about literally anybody else they so-called represent? It's just asinine.
God damn right it is. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, where you come from? Because I'm curious, how do you end up at 18 in the military anyways?
I grew up in a small little town in upstate New York. For those that don't know what upstate New York, it was called Jordan. It was right outside of Syracuse.
Okay.
My town was so small that they combined 3 different towns into the same school district.
Oh, believe me, I know well. I grew up in Cuba,
like
New York.
Our elementary school was in one town, our middle school was in another town, and then the high school was kind of like on the border between them.
I tell people my school district up in New York State was 86 kids in my graduating class, and it could take you an hour and a half to drive across our district because they had to combine so many school districts to get a school that big. Yeah, I grew up off of Route 86, like about an hour past Jamestown from here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the closest city that people usually know is Olean.
Yeah,
and basically, we were the only reason people knew where the hell we were is because we were the only McDonald's on Route 86. The only one that was right on the highway.
The important things.
I think we literally have less red lights in our city now than we did when I grew up there. I think we used to have 3 and we're down to 2.
My town doesn't even have a gas station.
Oh wow!
You have to drive to the next town over to get a gas station.
But New York, it's a metropolis, right?
Yeah, sure it is.
Try explaining to anyone that, oh no, New York is a gigantic state, and I live closer to where I grew up in New York. There were like 4 major cities in other states that were closer than New York City.
Oh yeah,
because it's just fucking gigantic. It's like 8 hours across the state.
That's something I dealt with in the military. Is like people would always, they always want to know, oh, like, where'd you come from? I'd be like, oh, New York, and they're like, you don't sound like you're from New York City. You don't have an accent. I'm like, no, man, I'm
from the
I'm basically from fucking Canada, dude. Like, I don't know.
Well, I always just tell them it's that little piece of West Virginia up north. I had a good buddy of mine who actually grew up in like West Virginia, who the first time like I took him home to like hang out and have band practice and shit, and he's like he tells me after the trip, he's like, dude, we were like driving in there, it looked just like home. I thought we were driving back to West Virginia. I got all weird feeling and stuff.
I live in a piece of the countryside where when you're driving at night, you're just staring at the side of the road for fucking deer to run out in front of you the whole time.
Yep. And like the roads, there's no such thing as a straight road. They all just do this.
Nope. And they're not even asphalt; it's just oil and stone mixed together and laid on the ground.
if they did that much. Yeah, that is the weirdest thing. Like, cause the road I grew up on, that was the way they did it. Like, they didn't pave it. It was just you run over it with the tar and drop the fucking stones.
Yep.
That's how they repaved it every year. Have you ever noticed that, Liz?
Well, I mean, now that you mention it, yeah, that explains a lot. But
Upstate New York is a very, very, very poor region. We don't have nice things. It's behind culturally like 3 years.
It's not as bad as like when I grew up, because I was
my girlfriend just snickered behind me and I heard it.
I'm a little bit older than you. Like when I was growing up in New York, like literally like the radio stations were always like 5 years behind. Like, you're listening to Smash Mouth in the early 2000s still. Like, it was weird. And
dude,
then
I remember like when Pokemon Go like died everywhere else, and then I went home and everybody's like people went to high school with her. Come up, have you seen this new app called Pokemon Go? I'm like, dude, that's been dead for like a year.
Pretty much. And which is funny, like from when you think from a libertarian standpoint, and you're thinking that all these people believe that they can centrally govern the country. I'm like, you don't even realize how many different countries there are within our country. Like, you go to upstate New York, I'm telling you right now, it is not New York the way people think of New York. It is a completely different world. And the idea that the same politics could govern both of those places is absolutely fucking bonkers. I
mean, you see it now because New York City governs upstate New York, and the resentment and the hate between those two populations is real.
Well, and it's not even like it's just the constituents. Like I remember when they passed the SAFE Act, and you had all of the what do you call it? You had all of the sheriffs up in like Cattaraugus County and Allegheny County saying, "Yeah, fuck this. I got nothing to do with it."
No, that's why I tell people all the time. Like, New York City passed the SAFE Act, and then upstate New York said, "Fuck you." Like nobody in upstate New York gave up shit. Like,
oh, dude, I know so many assault weapons up in New York State.
Dude, everywhere.
Stockpiles.
Everywhere. Oh, 100%. And then they go down to like Pennsylvania. Like those people are closer to like the people of like Alabama and West Virginia than they ever will be to like New York City.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't give a shit.
Well, I have a buddy who actually runs a CNC mill down in Pennsylvania, right across the border. Specifically moved into Pennsylvania when the SAFE Act happened. Like, sold his house, moved across the border 15 miles so that he could make guns.
I know. I have a buddy. We graduated high school at the same time, and it was kind of funny. He went into the Army Rangers, but did the exact same job I did, calling in airstrikes and being an artillery observer. So we did the same. We talked so much shit to each other because I'm a Marine, he's Army Ranger. We did the same thing. So that's just a natural like animosity towards each other. But like, he, even when he was living in New York, he was building fucking AKs in his garage. Like, that dude did not give a shit. And it's like, that kind of human being, like, if you're not going to send people after him because those people are going to come back and body. Well, like, that's not that, like, and that kind of thing is very common in upstate. You're not going to go into the Appalachians and get rid of those people's guns.
And I'm going to tell you right now, like the guerrilla warfare that will happen in those places, you're not prepared for.
Oh, hell no.
Like I know people with their fucking bunkers in the hills that are waiting. They're just ready. So I was actually listening to the Burning Boots podcast a week or two ago, and
I haven't heard of that one.
And they were getting into the whole. I think at least one of the guys on that show was a soldier, also. Even if he wasn't, he had a lot to say on the matter about how everyone always talks. Well, the boogaloo happens, the soldiers and the cops, and like what is going to end up happening there. Now, I'm not going to say that you're not going to have cops that side with the government. But I've seen firsthand what happens when the constituents of a place don't agree with the laws that come down and how they deal with that. And these people are saying, well, look, if they ever try to militarize against people, I mean, they're better powered. They're going to, if nothing else, they're going to kill a lot of people in the process. And I'm like, I don't know that I buy that, because aside from having seen the way that people tend to react to overreaches of government in certain places, you remember all of the big population centers are leftist anyway. So yeah, you're probably, if you live in a city, you might have a problem, but that means they're going to have to go out and actually take on all of those giant land masses outside of the city. And I just don't see how they can do that. Like, are they running airstrikes on the fucking central of the country?
From my experience, I've watched 2 teenagers hold up our entire company for hours. And now you translate that over to a fucking group of Army and Marine Corps buddies living out in fucking Wyoming with all their little redneck hunting friends and their hunting rifles. Good luck, man.
Well,
I don't want to be that soldier going up against those people.
Well, and I know we all talk about the bootlickers that are cops, but there is something fundamentally different between police officers and soldiers. There just is. Now, so there is some crossover in a certain sect of that, but by and large, that they're not the same populations.
No.
And I don't think people really realize what's going to happen if you sit there and you tell a bunch of soldiers to go and literally kill their brothers.
And that's something that we've gone into where, listen, police have been institutionalized for decades into attacking their own population. The Marine Corps and the Army has not.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps and the Army is our focus is always an outside force. If you go and tell a battalion of Marines that they're going to have to go fucking patrol their own American neighborhoods and it comes down to the level that, for one, because you're in the military, you have a much higher standard of training, a much higher standard for violent training than a police officer does, and you have a much more realistic appreciation for that violence. That's something that Matt talks about from Status Quo really good about, where especially in country, a lot of people, especially libertarians, they think that a lot of people in country, soldiers and Marines, we just want to go get some, we want to go blow shit up. No, we fucking don't. I mean, most days we're walking around, it's I don't want to get fucking shot at today.
Yeah.
But if I do get shot at, I'm going to lay waste to everything fucking in front of me. Yeah. That's kind of the mentality, is I don't want to commit this violence. I just want to fucking go home. But if you force me to commit this fucking violence, I know the capabilities and I know what I'm capable of, and I'm going to die face forward. Anyway.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons they do have such a problem with PTSD in the way that they do, is that they're capitalizing on the idealism of very young people. And then they get over there and they realize that, no, this is total horseshit. I was sold a false bill of goods, and I'm just here until I can wait out my contract.
Yep.
And they may be able to keep them because of the benefits, but that's, from my experience, I've met maybe 1 or 2 people that wasn't why they were there. I'm sorry, any population that you're keeping them doing their job for benefits, they're not going to shoot their own family members for you. The whole point they're there is for their family members. So I don't see how people can envision the entire military force. Now, what I will say is, do you think that this kind of plays into, on perhaps a broader scale, to get perhaps conspiratorial, that is why they've spent so much time militarizing the police? Because because they are trained to fight Americans and have been, for basically since that one asshole came back from the Philippines in like the 50s. And decided, hey, we could make our police force into an army and treat the population like they're a bunch of criminals.
No, because there's actual federal the federal government has done like defection rate simulations on what would happen in the event of like civil uprising, and the military always has a much higher defection rate. Like the police usually are a lot more in line and in step. You still have defection rates among the police, like a lot of those little podunk redneck fucking sheriffs out in the middle of nowhere. A lot of those guys ain't gonna go with the program. But when it comes down to the military, basically the only thing that you have keeping the military to be able to go against this is that they have families. You're able to threaten their families. You're able to threaten them. But even on top of that, as a warfighter, if you're fighting on threats, you can look at this throughout all of history. If you're fighting for somebody else's ideals under the threat of violence, you're not going to fight very hard. And even then, you have a lot of high statistics of people that they'll shoot at people, but they'll purposefully miss.
Which is why they started that whole thing in Germany. Yeah. Because we're sick of them missing.
But when you have somebody that's fighting because they want to, because for their own ideals, they're going to fucking aim. They're going to shoot and they're fight with their hearts.
Like you said, is another issue between, like, say, the rural areas and the, the big cities is that the reason you get those defection rates out of, like, those small rural areas is because what fucking culture are they defending in a city that they care about? What they care about is the people around them. And their culture is just not the same fucking culture. Like, it's just different. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I can wax poetic about this because. I'm always.
Sounds like Liberty Goes sound like Boogaloo.
Right.
Oh, no. I am not a fighter myself unless I'd have to be. But I know where my boys are at. I've got buddies that make ammo here. So.
Dude, I'm not a fighter anymore, man. Like I'm the first one in a bar to try to talk you down. I don't want to fight. I've had violence in my life. I don't want violence in my life. I say it all the time. I think I said it on we have a episode coming out with E-Militia where I think I said like I just want to water my jalapenos and play with my dog. Like that's where I'm at in my life. Like I don't want to do shit. So, I tell people all the time, like I don't want to be shot at again.
So do you really just grow jalapenos? You don't grow chili peppers at all, or?
Dude, we got spicy Cajun, we got jalapenos, habaneros.
No.
What else? What else we got, honey? We got a couple sweet bell peppers. We got snack peppers, shishitos.
Nice. Liz likes gardening, so she's all.
I do. My
sure.
peppers went gangbusters this year. I was so excited.
Me and my girlfriend both got little green thumbs. We like gardening and planting. I like a lot. I can't wait till I have my own property that I can actually till up a bunch of land and actually like grow a lot. Because right now we're kind of stuck renting, so I only have we have a bunch of pots, larger pots and stuff like that, and like trough pots that we try to grow as much as we can.
Liz came at me today like, I kind of wish I'd done the gardening here differently than we did.
Well, because we've been here for 4 years, and like when I moved in, I was like, well, I'm just gonna do this because like it's we're renting, like I don't want to go too crazy. And then I'm like, it's been 4 freaking years. I could have done all sorts of stuff.
Meanwhile, I believe the week we moved in, I'm like, the landlord said she doesn't give a fuck what we do with our backyard.
Right.
Doesn't care if you want to garden the whole thing, she doesn't care.
So yes, you get to be right.
I'm always right.
I know.
So.
Hey, how's it going? Nikki P here. Want to support the show or just give a big middle finger to Patreon? Consider stopping over to supportSLL.com. Members of the Freedom Choir get access to the private Facebook group and actual physical merch. Want access to the unedited raw interviews as they're recorded way before they're released? It's in there. Is that not enough? And you want membership to Freedom Song 365? It's in there. There's even monthly bonus swag for top tier supporters. So head on over to supportsll.com. Help Liz and I get to libertarian functions and even just cover the costs of making the show. If I'm not a good enough salesman, how about this?
Support my mom and dad and Sounds Like Liberty. Go to supportsll.com.
You heard her, folks. Join the Freedom Choir at supportsll.com.
Like, follow the timeline long enough.
Yeah.
I'm right.
Yeah, I know.
Always.
I know. It's all right.
That's the curse of the IQ,
That's why I keep you around, baby. That's why. Fine.
Well, the arrogance is also a curse of the IQ, too.
Well, the arrogance is amusing. So
and neither of those have anything to do with me being white.
It's just
Maybe something to do
I was
with
about
you
to
being
say,
black, but-
you want Stefan on you over here? What's going?
correlation, not causation.
Oh my god!
Okay, no, I am not a Stefan fan.
Oh no, I'm not either.
Oh,
It's
jeez.
funny. I even because people always tell me about how he apparently used to be like great back in the day.
Yeah, and
but I
I'm like,
wasn't a little
he's been a
back
piece of
then.
shit as long as I've seen him.
I love it. I'm gonna go with that one. I'm on your side with that. And ever since I've seen him, I've been like, who the fuck is this guy?
Like he does talk about, like, he's got some good things that he's said, but I mean, there were Nazis that had good things they were said. Like,
Sure.
look at what some of
Yeah.
them did for medicine, but they were still fucking Nazis.
Hitler was an animal rights activist, so you know.
Fucking
Yeah.
vegan piece of shit. How delicious is bacon?
It's
Amazing.
tasty.
And mind you, I'm someone who has nothing against vegan food.
Yeah.
Like, I'll eat tofu and seitan and fucking all that kind of shit. I'm fine with it. But fuck you telling me I can't eat meat.
Yeah, I like the option.
Pork is a gift from the gods.
Basically.
Now, how do those people that you were seeing over in the Middle East, how did they feel about that? I feel like they had a... Did you guys just like bring in pigs for ritual slaughter just to fuck with them?
That's so messed
No,
up.
there was the running joke. And, like, you see a lot of shit where like we're gonna dip our bullets in pig's blood, and it's just stupid.
Okay.
Just to be clear, I had a roommate who really didn't like my girlfriend when I was dating a vegetarian, and so he used to love pureeing bacon and putting it in her food, and just watching her eat it.
Terrible.
That's pretty
Hilarious.
awful.
Terrible.
She was pretty awful. She had really big tits though, and it's hard to argue with that.
There you go.
Yeah,
Trade-offs.
those, especially when you're younger, those will keep you around for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was all good until she started banging the drug dealer in the next room, I guess. That was the
Yeah.
final straw.
Rough.
I'll
You
do it
know,
for
you're buying pills off the guy, apparently. Fuck him. That's how it works.
No.
He wasn't a soldier, though.
No. Well, there you go.
Surprisingly,
Yeah, because I do know a lot of those guys, too. Lots of pill poppers that came back.
Well, you got to do something,
yeah.
I guess.
Has that been your experience? Like, a lot of the dudes that you've seen come back, like, become drug-addled train wrecks?
I mean, yes and no. You see some guys that definitely fall into it. I mean, it's easy to. Thankfully, I mean, for myself, my my mother has had a lot of issues throughout the years, and she's been on a lot of like antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, and I've kind of seen the effects of that before I was even in the military.
It ain't good.
So when I came back, so when I came back and I started realizing that I had my own issues, I immediately was like, I'm not taking any of that shit, because it goes into it is also self-recognize my own weakness to immediately probably fall into like substance abuse issues. Like I saw that was definitely a weakness, and it's a weakness for a lot of guys. You know, you come back, you have a lot of you leave a whole person, and you come back a broken man. You try to find something that's going to fill that hole. A lot of guys turn to alcohol, a lot of guys turn to drugs, and then even worse is a lot of guys. I mean, at least a couple years ago, a lot of guys that hadn't turned to drugs. You go to the military with issues. It's like any other government program. The first thing they give you is fucking pills. So they just start popping you full of pills. And I mean, it's something that like Matt Freeman again from Status Quo. His story is a dime a dozen. You know, I hurt my back one day while also starting to encounter the issues of PTSD and stuff. So they gave me Percocets, and yeah, it made my back feel better. But then also all of a sudden I could sleep again. I wasn't having night terrors. Like I felt like I was normal again. That strive to feel normal again and not be fucking freaking out all the time is a dangerous hole. And a lot of guys fall into it.
That's one of the reasons I didn't drink a lot in college. Like I hung around a lot of people that did, but it was never my thing. And part of the reason was because it was the only way that like I felt capable of dealing with people around me. And to me, that just seemed like a slippery slope to feed into.
Oh yeah.
Like
I mean, I never got into Percocets, but when I got back from Afghanistan, I was a raging fucking alcoholic. Like I was probably drunk about every other day at work. Like I was bad.
well, even,
Like I'm talking like slamming bottles of fucking Jameson in my shower, crying. Like it was
Yeah.
It was a rough time in my life.
Well, and I've known the people that have like quit pills, and the way that they quit pills is to move to the bottle. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not a pillhead anymore. I'm downing a fucking fifth before breakfast, but not a pillhead.
And the even more screwed up part is that say what you want about vets, but they are being in the military a lot of times does make you a very fucking strong person, and it almost becomes a weakness because I know a lot of guys that are very high level functioning raging alcoholics.
You can do that shit a lot longer than people normally can.
And you can handle a very low standard of life for a very long period of time without accepting or recognizing the absolute detrimental effects it's having on you. And I take this from firsthand experience. Like when I first got out of the military, like I was not living it. Like I'm like sleeping on a fucking air mattress with a pile of clothes, and I'm getting drunk like every fucking day.
This is fine.
Yeah, this is fine. And that's literally what it was. It's like I don't give a shit, and
this is still better than Afghanistan.
Yeah, 100%. That's pretty much what it comes down to. You grow this really thick skin. You've lived a very hard segment of your life.
I lived on a cot in the fucking desert with nothing, so this is great.
This is so everything else, like other shit, just doesn't seem like it's a big deal anymore.
I've got
even
booze
though
and cartoons. We're fine.
Yeah. Yep, pretty much.
So not to kind of about face on this, but I like to pretend that we're a music podcast still. So when you're over there, what are you doing to get amped? Like what are you putting on in the earbuds to go out and just slaughter a bunch of people for nothing?
Dude. Well, I've always been.
He's like, dude, I was a computer fucking nerd. Like I was looking at shit. Like,
no, I've always been like a punk rock guy. I've always I'm pop punk's not dead, but even back then I listened to a lot of I was listening to like
you're young. I wouldn't even know what you would call pop punk anymore.
Yeah,
because pop punk was Screeching Weasel when I grew up.
Oh God!
And then it became like Newfound Glory at a certain point. And then eventually it became.
That's pretty much what I grew up with was like Newfound Glory, Blink-182, Sum 41, things like that. And then through the military, because that's what I listened to before the military. And then when I got in the military, I became more of like a metalhead. I got more into like metalcore and like harder music because, in all honesty, the angrier music kind of helps you in those situations.
It helps you, or it feeds that part of you that you need to have ready to do that.
For me, it's always given me kind of an outlet to kind of have an outlet for that kind of anger and that kind of violence. It really does help. In fact, it was something that I talked about with my psychiatrist when I was first getting out, which was like, hey, maybe I should stop listening to a lot of this. Like, I would go from like really angry metal music to like really fucking sad, whiny white boy acoustic fucking like.
Okay, so what do you think about this? We make it mandatory that the only music you can listen to while you're in the service is ska.
Dude,
how do you think that would affect our military? Like just a bunch of
we gotta legalize weed. Dude, we gotta legalize weed for them. You can't have ska without weed. It's just not. It's not.
Well, no, it's energy drinks, man. It's just all happy energy.
God.
You just see them over there, fucking.
I actually didn't really get into ska until like I got back from deployment. I discovered I really got into Less Than Jake. In fact, Less Than Jake's song was one of my EAS songs. A lot of guys, they have a song that they pick out that they're gonna fucking blare on their stereo when they flip off the guard gate as they're leaving base for the last time.
Okay.
That's interesting.
And mine was The Science of Selling Yourself Short by Less Than Jake. And I fucking love, dude. Right?
It's a well-chosen piece of music.
Thank you. I thought so. So I had that bitch blaring. Fucking drove out that gate, flipped off the duty guard, said "fuck you," and began my trip adventure to Arizona.
How do you feel like that affects those guys' lives? Like, it's just a thing to flip those guys off.
Oh yeah.
I mean, are they just waiting until the day that they get to do it?
Because a lot of the gate guards, they aren't like they aren't actual MPs. It's a billet like a little duty billet that they got assigned. So a lot of those dudes are actually like guys. Like I knew gate guards that I deployed with. When we got back, they just got that billet. Hey, you're gonna go fucking be a gate guard for 6 months. And
that was a signal.
yeah. So
hey, I need my vape.
No, she's getting me more coffee.
Oh, nice.
She loves me.
Aww.
Why?
But yeah, no. So a lot of those guys, they get it too, because a lot of those dudes, they fucking hate gate guard duty, so they're sitting there counting the minutes till they can get out.
Yeah.
Just waiting until they get to give that guy in that position the finger.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So like, what kind of heavier stuff were you getting into when you're over there?
When I liked Attila. More softer. I listened to like a Day to Remember, fucking.
Or You're Strong. I get it.
Yeah. Oh, I love For You're Strong. But and then going into like heavier stuff, I like Attila, Soul Remnants. I'm gonna have to look at my phone.
See, people talk about Attila now, and it's weird to me because you probably don't realize this or know it. Attila was actually a band in the 70s.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was a 2-piece band where Billy Joel was played a B3 organ through a Marshall stack and had a drummer. He has a best of album where you can actually get a couple of their tracks, one of which is called Amplifier on Fire. So it's always weird when people talk about Attila because I think of Attila as one of the early Billy Joel projects.
No, I also really liked I like old Bring Me the Horizon a lot. I like some of their newer stuff too, but I don't know, they kind of gotten pussy on me.
It's all old people shit now.
Yeah, but I like old Bring Me the Horizon and fucking. I listened to a lot of Anti-Flag on Deployment. I don't know why, maybe because I hated myself. But
Anti-Flag, so you listen to a bunch of fucking commie bullshit.
Yeah, pretty much. Why is it all the anti-war punk bands are fucking commies?
I don't know.
I don't know. And like, I'm okay to a degree with like, being leftist because I'm a leftist. But the whole fucking, how could you be an anarchist and be rooting for Hillary? That was the weirdest thing at all to me because like we always talk about the whole, I don't understand why all punks aren't ANCAPs because it's like the perfect marriage of the DIY ethos and anti-authoritarianism.
Right?
And nope, for some reason there's a whole bunch of commies in that thing.
And even a lot of their songs from these like the basically commie fucking punk bands, a lot of their songs have like almost like libertarian or more anarchist messaging that I don't even think they mean to do.
I mean, look at the lyrics. Look at the lyrics to The Plan by NoFX. Call us libertarian because we do as we please. It's the first fucking line of the song.
I love it.
The one band that I'm still not entirely sure where exactly they fall is what's their name? It's Amy Allen with the Interrupters. And
I've never heard of them.
The Interrupters you'll like because they're actually a ska punk band. They have a chick singer. But she was actually a big Ron Paul supporter back in the day.
Really?
Yeah. And so they're on Hellcat Records, which is also weird. Yeah, you'll totally get into it.
Following that.
But yeah, they. I mean, they're very. I don't know. Was it Take Back the Power is a good song, and lyrically speaking, all of their songs are awesome. They have one called Outrage, I think was on their most recent album. And it's specifically about like basically how everyone in America is being turned on each other. And this is all part of the fucking plan to keep us fighting with each other and not dealing with the people in charge kind of shit.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how far to the right or which side of the spectrum she really falls. Because when I say she was a Ron Paul supporter back in the day, that's kind of dealing with the fact that a lot of people were libertarianism was in vogue back in those days. And a lot of people turned out to not really believe that shit and they all went like hardcore.
I think a lot of libertarians now, and like especially on Twitter and shit, I 100% am under the belief that a lot of those motherfuckers say they're libertarian or spout a lot of the shit because it's edgy.
I mean, I think you get that with the alt-writers, especially like the Liberty Hangout crew.
Yeah.
I know the crew I roll with. I'll ride or die.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know,
There's I'm not talking about anybody I regularly interact with on Twitter, but I've definitely seen some so-called libertarians, or especially like some so-called ANCAPs, that like as they're going and as they're talking, I'm like, it kind of seems like you're just trying to be a fucking bit of an edgelord. You're not actually like, you don't actually believe the principles. It's more or less like, oh, this is outside the mainstream and cool.
Well, Jeff Berwick just had a 14-year-old kid claiming to be an ANCAP on his show. And I'm glad that somebody, I guess, is getting you know, that kind of perspective at that age. But at 14 to declare yourself an ANCAP, like, I find something really fucking disingenuous about that.
Right.
Like, what kind of world fucking experience do you have to even like make that? Like, I understand philosophically why someone could be that, but I feel like you need a little bit more perspective before you can jump to like real world belief in that. Like, I've seen enough shit that, oh yeah, no, this totally makes sense. Like, I've seen what we get without it. But at 14, do you have enough perspective to see that, to make that distinction? I don't know. But it was like, I was excited for the kid, and also pretty terrified because like, it's tough as a fucking adult to stand up for this shit. Let alone like,
I'm not even an anarchist. Just being a minarchist, people look at me fucking crazy.
Yeah, like, and this kid's like, really? Like, you're never getting laid, and I feel bad. That's no way to go through your teen years. Giving a shit about this. Like, luckily, I didn't find most of the shit until after I was married.
Right? Nailed it.
I did. I found a black chick, and I nailed it. That was kind of the point.
Classy. Thanks.
Honey,
Classy.
you didn't marry me because I'm classy.
I know. It's all right.
I don't know why you
This
did.
made me laugh because this is some of the same stupid shit I say around Miss Mongoose back here, and she looks at me the exact same way, like, you asshole.
Just imagine, I'd give anything to make it true. But it seems I'm away, a million miles away.
All right, so one, I guess, last thing before I go. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this whole fucking mongoose thing? Like,
Oh, that story. So
do you guys do I have to get my tracksuit special for like big guys, or like I have to go on a diet for this to like be a thing?
You don't have to get okay, so if you want to be a true mongoose, it has to be an off-brand. You can't just get an Adidas tracksuit. It has to look like an Adidas tracksuit. It has to be an off-brand one.
So I have to have a friend from Russia get me an Adidas tracksuit.
Oh no, you can find these things cheap as shit. They're like $40, $30 to like ship over. They're off-brand cheap, like Eastern European fucking sweatshop suits.
Oh yeah, I know the websites. I can hook you
Yeah,
up.
you got it. So yeah. And then for the fighting mongoose thing, it's actually a decently funny story. Was because when we started the podcast, it just came out like hashtag not a militia, because we were like a bunch of fucking, like, we just talk about guns and like boogaloo a lot. So I was like, we're kind of a militia, but then I don't know. So it became the joke, like, not a militia. And then my old roommate was like, well, you need a name for your not a militia. And I was like, that's true. And he took it from Futurama, where, they were sitting around a table talking about like names or something, and Fry goes, "We'll be the mongooses." No, the fighting mongooses. So he told us that name, and then it just kind of it stuck, and I loved it. And mongooses are a ferocious animal, and I just like, in my depraved ass mind, I thought it'd be funny if like during a boogaloo, some fucking like intel guys sitting there learning about like this new little third party group blowing shit up in the Midwest, and they're like, what are they calling them? The fighting mongooses? Like, you can't take that seriously at first hand. Like, who the fuck are these jokers? And then it's like some dude running around in a fucking tracksuit with some bullshit AK, just fucking yelling shit.
You guys totally need to get like patches of Fry for your tracksuits.
Oh, we actually have. We've been thinking about trying to do like design like military tactical patches and shit like that of like the fighting mongooses or like biting the bullet patches, because we know a lot of our listeners are like former military guys or more of like the more gunslinging libertarian type guys. So we figured that would be a, you know, other little shows have their coffee mugs and shit. So we wanted to. We've been thinking about it. I don't know. We keep feeling like we're not big enough yet to like ask for like people to spend money on us. So
no, fuck that, man. Be a capitalist. Always ask for the fucking money. We don't have a big audience. I will ask for the money every fucking time.
Yeah, it's all about niching. I'd buy a patch.
People will support you when they're ready to support you. And and part of this I know because I'm a musician. And one of the big things that musicians always argue over is the tip jar. Do you put a tip jar out? Do you not put a tip jar out? And the rule of thumb is the only time I don't put a tip jar out is if it's a private event that you're not expecting that. If I'm playing just a bar, I'm putting the fucking tip jar out. Because you know why? Because there's people that want to give you fucking money. And then they've got to stop the show to ask you where they put the money.
Yeah, I just wish my boss would want to give me some money. Fuck.
Yeah, fuck that. Stop having a boss. Find some fucking way to make money yourself.
Actually, that's what's nice about trades is that honestly, like, I don't even deal with my boss. Especially like once you get like trained up and stuff like that. Even my supervisor now, because I've been doing it for about a year, and not to sound cocky, but I'm a decently intelligent individual, and it's not like it takes a fucking rocket scientist.
It's not a lot of those in the trades.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm picking it up pretty quickly. Like, I still don't understand like the background of it and the planning and stuff like that. But I just haven't had a lot of hands on with it. But actually, like running pipe and putting shit together and knowing how to do that, I've picked it up pretty quickly. So, like, honestly, most days, like, we just show up to the job site. I smoke a cigarette with my supervisor, and then he's like, "What are you gonna do here?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna do this, and this today." He's like, "All right, cool." And then I put my headphones in. And talk the rest of the day.
Nice.
If you could have made the union thing work out, we would have done that. But
yeah, no, I went to school or have a diploma as an electrical technician. Mm-hmm. But in Ohio, getting your fucking license to be an electrician is retarded hard.
That dude, the fucking licensing for trades is asinine.
Well, like it would literally require me to go and join the union and work for them for at least 5 years. And they were starting out. They start you out at like $12 an hour. And it's like, okay, well, I've got a job making 20 right now. So how am I subsidizing my wife and kid that I fucking already have to drop my fucking pay $6 an hour? Oh, wait, I'm not. So I'm kind of, yeah, it's bullshit. Meanwhile, I know for a fact I'm better than a lot of those guys that do that job. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, I can't do that job because I don't have that fucking piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I really like electricity.
It pisses me off even further because, like, I know from firsthand experience that having a piece of paper doesn't mean you know shit. Well, like, you can 100% slide through most things for a piece of paper.
Surprisingly enough, you know what state it's pretty easy to kind of get around it in? New York State.
Oh, really?
In New York State, you're not an electrician, but you can go and get it's really easy to get a general contractor's license up there. Where you can essentially do the fucking work, and then you have to have somebody sign off on it.
Gotcha.
That's, I believe, how it works. And it's odd that New York State is like that. And here I am in Ohio, which is a pretty fucking, red state. And they have just fucking draconian rules about what I need to do to get a license.
Like unions with trade jobs are just the modern fucking like medieval guilds.
Oh yeah.
They just keep people out and it's just stupid, man. Like, I absolutely despise it.
But, well, that's like I said, I chose not to do it because of how fucking ludicrous it was. Like, I couldn't justify taking a pay cut of that much to go and listen to somebody fucking else tell me how to do a job that I already knew how to do. Mm. Like, yeah. The other thing is, like, here in Ohio, part of actually getting, like, your license, you actually need to, like, it's not only the electrical part that you need to know, because you essentially get a business license at the same time. So, like, you have to know how to run a business to pass the test. Like, half of it's electrical shit, half of it is can you run a business? Well,
Yeah.
maybe I don't want to
Well,
run
I know
a
for a
business. I
fact
just want to be a
multiple.
fucking... Yeah.
Yeah, like I know for a fact, because multiple guys, like the older dudes and shit, like the guys that train me up, they straight up told me, like, if like I get up to the point where I do take my like testing to get my journeyman's card eventually, they're like fucking like 90% of it has absolutely nothing to do with like what you're going to do as a plumber.
No, never,
Like
never does.
it's completely useless information, and I'm like, why does that not fucking shock me? I've taken enough government testing in my life, like that doesn't surprise me in the least bit.
Which has
anymore.
been your favorite government test you've taken?
Oh, I always loved the Marine Corps Institute fucking tests. They were always fun.
what's a Marine Corps Institute test? I'm curious.
So the Marine Corps has its own little college. It's like a college. It's called the Marine Corps Institute. And when you take these little classes, these online classes, and take the exams and pass them, it gives you points towards promotion. So they have everything from like math for Marines and spelling for Marines, all the way up to like. So for me, like case in point, there's one I had to take to be air observer, be a joint fires observer. It's called your TACP primers, tactical air control personnel primers, whatever. But it's a really fucking long, rigorous like thing you have to do online, and yeah,
that's how they got around needing crayons. They put it on
pretty much. But it's just most of them are just stupid. Like it's ridiculous. It's literally like death by PowerPoint, and then you take a test, and then it's like, oh, now you know this. It's like, sure, I do. And then it would be funny because then I'd have fucking guys like infantry dudes that'd be like, hey, I took my TACP primers. That means I can do your job, right? And I'm like, yeah, man, I took my fucking infantry patrolling, so that means I'm an infantryman, right? No. Well, there's your fucking answer.
So I'm curious, how many Marines died eating crayons before they put the tests online?
Dude, untold numbers.
Like that's
Honestly,
why they had to do that. It was just untenable.
You introduced it gradually, yeah.
Anyways, boss, I thank you for indulging me in my ridiculousness.
Absolutely.
Why don't you
Oh, plugs, yeah.
And give the plugs and tell everyone where they can go find you guys at.
All right. Well, on Twitter, you can find me at the Mongoose 0861. For our podcast, you can find our podcast at Biting Bullet Pod. For the other two hosts, Luke and Typo, is at Keep It Real Luke and at The Real Typo. I also run the Discord for our podcast, which is dank as shit. And we talk about all kinds of fun stuff that would get us banned on Twitter. And then
it's not surprising they let the minarchists run things.
Yeah, well, no, because Luke actually runs the Instagram. The Instagram's gaining followers quite quickly.
Ooh.
What do you guys post on there?
I love me some Instagram.
We repost memes. A lot of time we'll make our own memes. Like Luke will tell us me and Typo to make a bunch of memes for him to put on there, or he'll just repost them, post our episodes, things like that. And then the worst one, Typo, he runs the Facebook, but he just started posting our episodes last week because we yelled at him. So
I mean, it doesn't matter. Facebook's gonna throttle them, and they're never gonna get to your audience anyways.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, what do you get? Like 5 people per episode that we post that actually see the posts.
Yeah, it's really crap. Some weeks it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. I'll have to add you guys to the Spam Your Libertarian Podcast here group so I can get them and post on my channels. So
I'm just about to subscribe to that Instagram.
I don't do Instagram all that much.
I know, but I love it.
I discovered Twitter and I no longer gave a shit about Instagram.
Yes, but that's because you like being catty and you just enjoy being catty on Twitter.
Nobody's cattier than the Biting the Bullet guys, too.
Nobody goes harder after 14 follower anonymous picture accounts than I do, okay? That's my niche.
Nice.
Oh, I will fucking throttle a 10 follower anonymous account about gun rights for hours, and it's for the people.
I was
that's awesome.
Not to get off. I watched an SNL bit the other day, and I've been avoiding SNL for a number of years, but I've actually been seeing some shit that kind of cracked me up. And one of them was they had Harry Styles on there, and he was acting as he was a person who was hired to do the Sarah Lee Instagram account, and like got it confused with his own Instagram account, and like started hitting on men. and well, the joke of it is that they're like, well, you said bang me, daddy, to such and such account. It was like a famous person, and then came back and said, like ride me king, and he didn't say anything to it, which is fine. But you also sent this to some rando, and they didn't comment, and that's a problem for the brand. We can't have no-name people not commenting on our shit.
Jeez.
Like they were more offended that, well, you set it up where like somebody didn't comment, and that's the problem. This person's unimportant. Of course they have to comment on our shit.
Jeez.
So that's the key. How many comments are you getting from those no-name scrubs?
Multiple.
There you go.
That's all that matters.
There you go.
Killing
Okay.
the game.
How many of them do you think are like ANCAPs in disguise that are just on there fucking with you?
I don't know.
Like
I imagine at least one here and there. People know how I am. I could see them totally easily.
I have
trolling
to hope that some people aren't that fucking out there. Some of the
Oh no, some
shit
people
you
are that
see on there.
stupid. I've had like real life arguments, especially about like guns and like
I can't
like
live in that world,
type
friend.
stuff with people like bars and shit, and they give me the same bullshit. Well, they have tanks and planes and blah. And I'm like, I hate you. I hate everything about you.
I am really surprised at how few people really jumped on that whole Eric Swalwell thing. Like, you had a sitting congressman threaten us with fucking nuclear war.
Right.
Like, the number of people that didn't seem to give a shit about that really astounds me.
Because a lot of people agree with them. They think that, well, a lot of people have this mindset, like, they think that war, it goes into how a lot of people are completely disconnected from the realities of modern warfare, even though we've been at war for the last 20 years. So they have no concepts. They think it's Call of Duty. It's rock, paper, scissors. And if you have the bigger gun, you win. I mean, that's what I tell a lot of these people is like, oh, wow, you figured out how to win modern war. Just have the bigger gun. You're a regular fucking Sun Tzu, man. You figured it out.
Well, I mean,
in the game.
what the fuck? I guess what the fuck's the objective in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's half the battle. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, if you want to be in war forever, sure, that works. You keep cranking out fucking people that want to murder you by doing it, so, you're going to be doing it forever.
Yeah.
Certainly doesn't seem like the way to win to me, but, who the fuck am I? What do I know? So, All right, boss. Well, it is very early, and I have to go to work. I don't want to go to work ever again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back in bed and cuddle with my dog.
Oh, there you go.
It's not nice to refer to her as your dog, man.
Ugh.
How dare you?
I have a kid, so I
she
can't
seemed
slap
like
you,
a
but
nice lady when she walked past.
You're just silly.
All right, Jared. Thanks for coming on, boss. You have yourself a good day.
Appreciate it.
And what did we tell you?
Yep.
We warned you.
Yep.
We said you weren't going to believe it. How did we talk about all those things? Cops in New York State and soldiers and man,
Armies
literally that night, the news is just bam with all of them.
Yeah.
Boogalooing.
Hopefully not. But it is something you got to be aware of because the lines are drawn.
There's lots of lines in the sand,
Mm-hmm.
and I fucking hate sand.
Mm.
I'm just saying that out right now.
Yeah,
If
actually,
I didn't complain about it enough on our last episode after Florida, I fucking hate sand.
yeah, I actually wanted to bring up something about that too because your buddy partner John is back from his honeymoon, and we just wanted to say congratulations to him and Claire. And we're sorry we couldn't be there, but we were in Florida. So yeah, but it's that is a happy thing we could bring up.
Okay, you wanted to bring up happy things?
Something happy. I wanted something happy to happen.
I suppose.
In relation to the stuff we talk about on the show. But no, it was a happy interview. I mean, I think it was pretty.
I had fun
cool.
talking to Jared. So let's do what we do. Once again, folks, go check out soundslike.liberty.com or ancapmusic.com. They'll both get you there. And give a listen. Give an eye. Give a gander to all the stuff that we have there. Check out old shows. We've had a lot of fun guests on over the time we've been doing this. And I'm not saying it's Christmas time and, we could use some money, to keep the show being awesome. But I mean, there's stuff in there that you want, I promise. Join the Freedom Choir.
There you go.
Subliminal messages. They've been playing this entire episode. You didn't know.
I'm pretty sure that's not a thing, but
you don't think subliminal messages are a thing?
Just blatantly say if you appreciate what we do, we'd appreciate the support. And,
we do.
We appreciate you guys just listening and
look. Don't make me get on my hands
and all that good stuff.
Hands and knees and beg. All right, and as we mentioned at the beginning, go check out Millennials Meet Liberty.
Yep.
And take it easy, folks.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.